All right, there's been a potentially huge development in the world of home distilling. The West Virginia State Senate and the House have passed a bill that will legalize home distilling if signed into law by the governor. So that's right, if you live in West Virginia and this bill is signed into law, you'll be able to make at home your own whiskey, bourbon, gin, vodka, moonshine, and more. And West Virginia will be only the second state in the U.S. where this is legal. Speaking of, before we get into the details of the bill, I need to say that if you're sitting at your computer right now thinking, making moonshine's legal as long as you don't sell it, don't even think about posting in the comment section. Don't even reach for your keyboard unless you are willing to look up and include the specific state statute for whatever your state you're talking about that explicitly says that distilling in that state is legal, because a lot of people think it's legal to distill in their state as long as you do it at home, you don't sell it to anybody, but it is not. Missouri is currently the only state in the United States that explicitly allows home distillation. It's not legal in Arizona, despite what the internet armchair legal analysts will tell you. In that state, for example, you have to register your still before you're able to use it to make spirits at home. And as part of that registration process, you have to include your federal TTB permit, which is going to be a problem because distilling at the federal level is illegal and you're not going to be able to get that permit from the federal government. Therefore, it is not legal to distill at home in Arizona. It is not legal to distill at home in Massachusetts. You have to be either a winery or you have to be a farm distiller, and as part of your application process, you have to submit your federal TTB paperwork. In Ohio, for some reason people think it's legal in Ohio. It is clearly not, which is evidenced by the fact that potential legislation has been introduced into the Ohio Senate, but it hasn't been passed by the Senate. It hasn't been passed by the House, and it hasn't been signed by the governor. So I don't know why people think it's legal to distill in Ohio when there is legislation pending that would potentially make it legal, but it's gone nowhere. So why would that legislation exist if it were legal? The issue here is this. Again, you have these armchair legal analysts doing half-assed research, posting it on their website, and then that's just being parroted by a bunch of other sites. So unless a lawyer told you that it's legal to distill in your state, or you can provide the actual state code, do not bother commenting. If either of those is true, do leave a comment, because I would love to know about other states where home distilling is legal. So back to West Virginia. The existing law, the existing legal language is West Virginia Code 60-6-10, which says that a person who unlawfully operates or maintains a plant for the manufacture of distilled spirits or aids or abets in the operation or maintenance of such a plant shall be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction shall be fined not less than $100 nor more than $1,000, or confined in the penitentiary not less than 1 nor more than 5 years. So that's right, it's currently a felony to distill at home in West Virginia, and if you value your freedom, the penalties can be quite steep. The new language states the following: notwithstanding the restriction of subsection A, meaning if you violate this next part, you're still subject to the penalties in the first part, a person at least 21 years of age may manufacture alcoholic liquor for personal or family use. The aggregate amount of alcoholic liquor manufactured per household may not exceed 50 gallons per calendar year if there are 2 or more persons over the age of 21 years, or 25 gallons per calendar year if there is only 1 person over the age of 21 in the household. So 25 gallons per individual, no more than 50 gallons per household. And any alcoholic liquor manufactured under this section may not be sold or offered for sale. This bill has been approved by both the West Virginia House and the Senate. It looks like it passed nearly 2-1 in the House, very narrowly though in the Senate, but that said, it's on its way to the governor. Now, this is not a political video. and I don't want the comment section to devolve into chaos. But you cannot ignore the fact that the blue states have essentially led the charge on legalizing weed over the last 10 years or so, and it's been quite effective at turning the tide nationally. There are something like 25 states now where recreational weed is legal. If this happens in West Virginia, it would be a pretty sweet victory for the red states. And honestly, I don't see why it wouldn't happen. I don't understand why it hasn't happened. Politicians in red states go on and on about how the value they place on personal freedom, yet there's only one state in the United States where you can legally distill at home, and that's Missouri. Speaking of, here's what the law actually says in Missouri. No person at least 21 years of age shall be required to obtain a license to manufacture intoxicating liquor as defined in section 311.020 for personal or family use. The aggregate amount of intoxicating liquor manufactured per household shall not exceed 200 gallons per calendar year if there are 2 or more persons of the age of 21 in the household, or 100 gallons per year if there's only one person over the age of 21. Any intoxicating liquor manufactured under the section shall not be offered for sale. So there you have it. In Missouri, it's legal to distill your own booze. Maybe I've been living under a rock, but I have not heard that this has been a problem for them, and I follow this stuff pretty closely. So this should happen. This needs to happen. It's only logical that it happens. Fingers crossed, I guess. That said, I have been in the business of manufacturing distillation equipment for more than a decade, and I've seen lots of bills like this be introduced at the state level, be introduced federally, and oftentimes they just die right out of the gate. They go absolutely nowhere, or they get strung along and they're axed at the very last second. I've never seen this happen, though, before, where both the House and the Senate pass a bill and send it on to a governor. So I'm not holding my breath because the governor still needs to sign this thing before it's official, but who am I kidding? Actually, I am holding my breath. I'm looking at Zillow right now for some property to build a cabin on in West Virginia. I'm thinking somewhere near maybe Fayetteville, New River Gorge of the Gully, maybe Hopeville, Seneca Rocks, maybe something near Snowshoe. If you haven't been to West Virginia, or you've only driven through West Virginia on the major highways and all you saw were like 100 billboards for the Southern Exposure Adult Lounge, you are missing out, because West Virginia is actually a beautiful, incredible state. The Dolly Sods Wilderness area, I think, is probably the most amazing hiking you can do on the East Coast, period. And I live on the Blue Ridge Parkway in Asheville, North Carolina. The New River and the Gully are world-class whitewater areas. I've rafted down both several times. They're absolutely beautiful, absolutely amazing. Snowshoe is the largest ski area in the mid-Atlantic. Really cool place to visit during the wintertime. And West Virginia also has some really cool traditional old-time like music festivals. Cliff Top at Camp Washington Carver is really cool. In fact, the only place I would recommend you not go in West Virginia is Southern Exposure. It's not worth it, trust me. Anyway, full disclosure, I own Climber Supply. We sell distillation equipment. I'm probably biased on this subject, but I really hope that this bill passes, because we absolutely do not advocate that anyone break the law. In fact, to buy a still from us, you have to check a box on our site which says that you agree to our terms of service, which dictates that you not use anything you buy from us for illegal activities. You can use our stills to make distilled water, you can make essential oils, you can even make fuel alcohol if you have the proper permits, but you cannot legally use them to distill spirits at home. In fact, our entire media team just got back from New Zealand. We flew 8,000 miles to distill with Jesse from the Still It YouTube channel because New Zealand is one of the only places in the entire world where home distillation is legal. I think it was legalized in the 90s or something like that. They have had no problems with this, so I just don't see why this wouldn't or shouldn't happen in the US. We actually just released the first video we shot with Jesse, which is distilling Mountain Dew, which is a pretty interesting project. So last thing here, even if this bill is signed into law by West Virginia, home distilling is still illegal on the federal level. So I guess that's going to be the final hurdle that needs to be cleared before this has an official green light anywhere really in the US. So cheers to West Virginia for the progress they've made so far. I hope this actually happens.